Dave, how you doing today?
How you doing, Adam?
Good, thanks. I have a couple questions for you, Dave. First of all, you put Tyreek back to field a punt last week's game. Did that have anything to do with that kind of fair catch that McCole made on the previous punt return? And Brad, I'll have a second question after he's done.
Okay, no, it really didn't, Adam. It had nothing to do with it. It was just a different play that we had called,
Okay.
and Tyreek's part of that play. You know, we have a number of plays where Tyreek's involved, and that just happened to be. It was just a timing thing, you know. And I thought
Okay.
that might be misconstrued.
Okay, fair enough. And also, Jack Fox showed a pretty good leg when he was in camp last year. Are you at all, but given that, are you at all surprised by what he's doing so far this year?
Really, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I always told him, I said, you will be in the NFL. It's just that he just needed a little bit more time, a little bit more consistency. You know, he was real close, you know, when he was here with us, he was real close. And it's not surprising me at all that, you know, the season that he's having, you know, and really proud of him. I texted him the other day and told him how proud I was of him.
Let's go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Dave, just wanted to ask you about your kicker. I know he's diligent, and I'm just wondering if there's something he sees or something you see of, you know, common denominator, the extra point the other night and what happened the week before.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it happened 2 games in a row now. So now you got to look at it and you say, you know, what's the problem? And it was the same miss. You know, it's he's kind of towing the ball, catching it with his toe. We kind of figured out exactly what it is. We worked on it yesterday. We hit nothing but extra points yesterday, and he was 100%. And we feel like we know where the miss is, where it's happening, and we just have to eliminate that miss. You know, he's, like I said, he's, you know, it bothers him more than anybody, believe me. I mean, he is so, you know, he's such a perfectionist that something like that just drives him nuts. And, you know, so you don't have to say much. You just go back and you look at it and you practice and you try to correct it the next day at practice. And we feel like we did that yesterday.
Go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, you really kind of covered it, but I just want to make clear just specifically the holds have been fine. And then just, is there any, I mean, for lack of, you know, you have a favorite golf club, you might get a club that's the same thing, but it just doesn't quite feel right. Is there any of that that's still kind of breaking in with the holds?
No, it has nothing to do with the holes. The holes are perfect. I mean, Tommy is doing a great job with the holes, and I'm sure Butker would be the first one to tell you that. And I'm really happy with the way that's going. But I just think it's just a matter of, you know, it's a close kick. He's just catching it the wrong way. You know, every once in a while it comes up, and we just got to get rid of that miss, you know. And the good thing is it's the same miss. It's not like he's missing left, missing right. And you know, and that's when you have a 2-way miss, that's a lot worse than a 1-way miss. So we can make the correction.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, you kind of mentioned Tommy Townsend, but just how impressed have you been with him, considering the amount of pressure that might go into replacing somebody like Dustin Colquitt early on here?
Yeah, I think early on, you know, he a little nervous, you know, obviously in his first couple games. We didn't have any preseason games. It was tough for him. But he is every game, every practice, in fact, he's getting better and better and better. And he's showing more and more consistency. And you got a little taste of how strong his leg is the other night. I mean, he can really bomb the ball. You know, one thing we got to continue to work on control. You know, he can bomb the ball, but he has to know when to bomb it like he is, or when to hit it higher, you know, possibly kick it over their head and then keep the ball in play so it doesn't end up in the touchback. I mean, there's a lot more room for improvement, but you're seeing how much power the kid really has. And, you know, he's the sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to be a great punter in the league.
Got 2 more. Let's go Sam and then Karen. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Dave. With Willie Gay, he's playing more and more on defense. Just, I guess, if you can't do this with him specifically, just generally speaking, how do those conversations go when a guy starts to play more on his unit, and how much do you think you'll be able to still utilize him?
I go to the how many plays guys are getting. I look at the play chart, you know, it's how many plays each guy gets. Once they start getting over 50, 60 plays on offense or defense, then you got to start pulling them back a little bit. I think Willie, if I'm not mistaken, he might have had, I think, 25 plays or so on defense. So really, we don't need to pull him back yet on special teams, because he's probably going to get about another 10 or 15 plays there for me. that ends up hitting the number. But once a guy gets up above those numbers, then you got to start thinking about pulling them back a little bit on special teams and then making the adjustment that way.
Go last, Karen. Go ahead, Karen.
Coach, just want to ask you a little bit about McCole. Do you see a maturing process that has to take place with a young player? Has a lot of speed, can catch the ball, but sometimes still learning those decisions on what he can and can't do.
Yes, he's still. I mean, we can't forget that he's only a second-year player, and he doesn't have that many touches. Actually, when you really look at it as a punt returner, a lot of times they kick the ball out of bounds. It just doesn't work out. So he made a couple mistakes in the last game. Let's face it, everybody saw it. But he will make the corrections. We worked hard yesterday in particular on some things with the fair catch decision and getting away from it when he wants. He tries to do a little bit too much when he doesn't get a lot of balls in his hands, and he's just got to learn, that position is a real tough position. You got to make quick decisions. I think it's, besides quarterback, I think it's the second toughest position to play in all of football. So he's getting better and better. He's a young, talented kid that takes pride in it, and he will continue to improve.
Coach, we appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.